Does God grant human beings suffering? Why? Suffering, a path to finding life's meaning. Suffering, an inescapable part of life. Suffering is an undeniable reality in every human life. None of us can avoid moments of pain, whether physical or emotional. Suffering can stem from unexpected events, failures, or simply the loss of a loved one. It does not discriminate based on age, status, or wealth. Surely we've all witnessed heartbreaking stories. A person losing a loved one in a sudden accident, another facing a terminal illness like cancer. These experiences don't just cause physical pain, they wound the soul deeply, in ways words cannot fully describe. Yet it's in these moments that we become keenly aware of life's fragility and the impermanence of everything around us. For example, when a mother loses her beloved child, the loss is immense, leaving a void nothing can fill. The pain lingers not just emotionally, but impacts her spirit profoundly. However, through grappling with this loss, she may find strength within herself, rediscover a purpose for living, and a way to continue loving those still with her. Suffering, no matter how cruel, is unavoidable. It teaches us that life isn't always fair, but within that unfairness and pain, we can learn to cherish life's precious moments. Suffering as an opportunity for spiritual growth. Pain isn't just a misfortune, it's an opportunity for spiritual development. When we face hardship, we cannot help but grow. Suffering challenges us to reflect on ourselves, confront our imperfections, and rise stronger. Take someone battling a life-threatening illness. They don't just wrestle with physical pain, but also face fears and uncertainties about the future. Yet in those moments, they may discover an inner strength they never knew they had. By facing their fears, they learn to accept and love themselves, not just in good times, but in the hardest ones too. For instance, some who've survived accidents, losing their ability to walk, or living with chronic illness, eventually learn to face reality. Over time, they find small joys in life, and more importantly, cultivate patience, slowing down to savor simple things. They realize that no matter how tough life gets, each day offers a chance to renew themselves. Suffering, though harsh, fosters virtues like perseverance, compassion, and gratitude. In our darkest times, we can uncover hidden facets of ourselves, becoming stronger and more refined in how we face the world. Suffering and patience, a journey to find meaning. One of suffering's greatest lessons is patience. Patience isn't just waiting, it's a deep understanding of time and acceptance of the process. When we face pain, we learn that life doesn't always bend to our will, and sometimes patience is the only way through. Consider someone undergoing cancer treatment. They may feel despair facing physical and emotional agony. Yet, over time, they learn patience, not just in awaiting treatment outcomes, but in living each day. They discover that even in moments of hopelessness, perseverance reveals hope in small instances. Patience is key to facing suffering. When we grasp that everything has its time, we no longer feel trapped. In the toughest situations, patience helps us endure and find meaning, no matter the circumstances. The meaning of suffering in religion and spirituality. Christianity teaches that suffering isn't punishment, but part of a spiritual journey. For the faithful, it's an essential step in maturing, helping us recognize its presence in life and find deeper meaning. In Christianity, Jesus endured suffering on the cross to redeem humanity. His sacrifice offers a path to salvation and renewed hope. Jesus' pain exemplifies unconditional love, patience, and sacrifice. Through his suffering, humanity finds forgiveness and redemption. Suffering is seen as an intrinsic part of life. Our goal isn't to avoid it, but to understand its causes and transcend it with wisdom and love. Accepting suffering as part of existence allows us to break free from psychological chains and find peace within. Suffering tests faith. It builds patience and gratitude while strengthening our bond with God. We should trust that, no matter the suffering, God never abandons us, and salvation comes to those who persevere in faith. Suffering as an opportunity to rediscover ourselves. Facing suffering, many feel they've lost everything, but sometimes suffering is a chance to find ourselves again. It prompts us to reassess who we are, reflect on what truly matters, and chart a new path to live better. For example, someone experiencing a major career setback might feel they've hit rock bottom. Yet in that time, they may learn to love themselves, recognize life's true values, and find a new direction. Suffering, though initially devastating, opens doors to untapped potential within us. It shows us that life doesn't always follow our plans. When we've lost everything, we begin to live authentically, finding deeper worth in the simplest things. God in suffering, a faith-based perspective. A big question many ask amid suffering is, why does God allow humans to suffer? It's a question that gnaws at us and shakes the faith of many. If God is all-powerful and all-good, why does He permit pain, injustice, and loss? To understand, we must view suffering through a spiritual lens. In many religions, it's not punishment, but a tool God uses to shape and refine us, fostering spiritual growth. In Christianity, Jesus' suffering on the cross, immense in both body and spirit, wasn't just endured but offered redemption. His death symbolizes boundless love, showing that through pain, humanity finds salvation and forgiveness. So why does God allow suffering? One answer might be, it's part of the freedom He grants us. Humans have the liberty to choose their paths, and in suffering we learn to use that freedom to find purpose and meaning. God doesn't want us trapped in pain, but He permits it so we can mature and realize that only His love can carry us through every trial. Suffering is a test from God. Facing it requires not just patience, but unwavering faith. In tough times, God doesn't forsake us. He aids those who trust and persevere. Biblical figures like Noah and Job endured great trials, but were saved through steadfast faith. Suffering arises from attachment and greed, from insatiable desires. It's not something we seek, but a result of ignorance and clinging to the unwholesome. We're urged to let go of what we can't control, finding liberation by understanding suffering's roots. Suffering isn't punishment. It's a chance to learn, grow, and find peace in our relationship with God. He doesn't want us to suffer endlessly, but to discover patience, faith, and hope amid trials. Finding peace in suffering, the lesson of acceptance. One of the hardest parts of suffering is accepting that life doesn't always align with our desires. We can't change the past, undo mistakes, or always avoid pain. Yet learning to accept and live with this brings profound peace. Acceptance isn't giving up or enduring passively. It's the ability to face reality without denial or escape. When we accept suffering as part of life, we shed the pressure and disappointment of the unchangeable, finding peace in confronting challenges. Take a mother who lost her child in a traffic accident. At first, her world collapsed, the pain too vast to bear. But over years of facing it, she learned to accept the loss and find peace in her child's memory. She realized that though her child couldn't return, their love and beautiful memories lived on in her heart. This acceptance freed her from pain's grip, allowing her to live meaningfully again. Accepting suffering doesn't mean abandoning hope. It's recognizing that pain may not last forever and that each trial offers growth. In the darkest moments, we see we can overcome anything if we don't give up on ourselves. Suffering and connection, sharing and being shared. A vital aspect of facing suffering is not feeling alone. Sometimes just having someone listen, share, and understand our pain is enough to help us through. Suffering isolates us, but connecting with others can provide strength. Sharing pain brings comfort and reveals that everyone has their struggles. Empathy and compassion heal wounds we can't mend alone. This shines in religious communities where people pray, share, and support each other through hardships. In a grief support group, for instance, members share their stories and find empathy. They see that though each tale differs, all face pain and deserve healing. Through sharing, they shed loneliness and find hope to keep living. In summary, suffering as an essential part of life's journey. Life is a continuous cycle of challenges, joys, sorrows, successes, and failures. Suffering, though harsh and testing, is an indispensable part of every person's journey. No one lives fully without moments of pain, but within those moments lies the chance to grow, understand ourselves and the world more deeply. Suffering tests not just the body but the soul. Yet if we face and learn from it, it becomes a path to maturity, patience, and a new perspective on life. In our darkest times, we can find hope's light, inner strength, and steadfast faith in ourselves and higher values. Accepting suffering isn't abandoning hope or living passively. It's recognizing it as a natural part of life with valuable lessons. Each challenge is a chance to explore and grow. Sometimes pain reveals what we once overlooked, the worth of simple moments, love, and kindness. Especially in facing suffering, connection with others and faith are key to finding peace. Sharing pain and receiving empathy reminds us we're not alone in the fight. We find support in community, love, and genuine relationships. Suffering may be tough, but it teaches us to live fuller lives, to love, cherish what we have, and seek meaning in our struggles. When faced and understood rightly, suffering can fuel us to live with patience, resilience, and hope for a brighter tomorrow. Whether we suffer or not, we can find peace by learning to love ourselves, others, and every moment fully. Suffering's great lesson is that maturity comes not from avoiding challenges, but from facing them and finding the strength to overcome. In every pain lies an opportunity to become stronger and more resilient. The power of faith in God to overcome suffering. In life's journey, suffering comes to us all, whether we wish it or not. But we don't face these trials alone. God is always beside us, ready to lift, comfort, and guide those who trust in Him. Faith in God is the key to overcoming hardship, the strength that brings peace to our souls amid the greatest challenges. Faith isn't distant or vague. It's a firm trust in God's presence and unconditional love. It doesn't mean we'll never suffer, but that even in suffering, God remains with us, guiding us through. When we trust Him, we see that every trial has a deeper purpose we may not yet grasp. Faith shows us that even in despair, God sees us and won't let us lose our way. Faith in God fuels us to never give up, not just in suffering, but in joy too. When we persevere in faith, we realize suffering isn't the end, but part of God's greater plan for our lives. Biblical stories show saints and believers overcoming countless trials through unshakable faith. Remember Jesus, who endured immense suffering to save humanity. He offers us an example of resilience, love, and sacrifice. He's not just our Savior, but our friend, teacher, and guide in life. When suffering strikes, turn to God, find solace in His Word, and seek strength to carry on. In prayer, we feel His closeness and guidance, helping us through pain with steadfast faith. We shouldn't face suffering alone. Share faith with those around us. A faith community offers encouragement, prayer, and support. When someone suffers, be their strength, letting them feel God's presence through your words and deeds. Helping others heal also heals our own souls. Act today, not just in words, but in deeds. Pray daily, find comfort in God's Word, and live with unwavering faith. Know that though life may lead us to dead ends, God always has a bright path forward. Never abandon faith in Him. Suffering is temporary, but faith in God is an eternal strength to overcome all trials. So one day we can look back and see that in suffering we grew closer to Him. Let faith in God be your firm foundation toward enabling you to live a blessed life, resilient in trials and overflowing with hope for a beautiful future.